Welcome back to Seamless Xtra as we continue to explore the latest trends and innovations in the world of digital commerce.
Thank you for joining us today, Catherine. We're looking forward to having you a part of our December Seamless Extra edition. So thank you for joining us today. I'd first like to introduce you, Miss Catherine Chali, Chief Operating Officer for United Bank for Africa Limited, Zambia. Thank you for joining us today, Catherine. As a prominent leader in Zambia's financial sector, you've been pivotal in driving growth and digital innovation. As a key leader in Zambia's financial services sector, you've played an integral role in driving growth and digital transformation. We're excited to explore the current banking landscape in Zambia with a focus on East Africa. So I'll first ask you a little bit about your role as Chief Operating Officer at United Bank for Africa, Zambia. Over to you, Catherine.
All right. Thank you so much, Ellise, and good afternoon once again. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
happy and excited to be on this platform today. And I'm looking forward to being part of Seamless Africa 2025 as well as Seamless East Africa 2025. So basically, like you mentioned, I'm currently serving as the Chief Operating Officer for UBA Zambia. And my role basically entails me ensuring that the bank operates efficiently whilst complying with regulatory expectations and meeting our customers and shareholders' expectations as we align with the strategic goals and objectives. And then all in all, I also have to ensure that I drive the digital transformation agenda with my team and ensure that the bank stays abreast of all the latest technologies, whilst at the same time ensuring that we provide innovative solutions that will meet our customers' requirements and ensure that they have an exceptional customer experience. So in summary, that is what my role entails.
Fantastic. Thank you, Catherine. So I'll lead on to the banking landscape in Zambia. If you could tell me a little bit about the banking landscape. I'll start with the financial services landscape in Zambia has evolved significantly in recent years. From your perspective, how has banking in Zambia and East Africa changed, particularly in terms of digital adoption and financial inclusion?
Okay, thank you, Ellise. So I think in a nutshell, there's been a lot of advancements in that space, and we've seen an increase in the adoption of digital financial services. So if I relate it to the Zambia case, over the last 5 years, initially you would find that people are using a lot of checks, and then there's use of ATM, electronic funds transfers. So now if we look at the statistics for 2023 ending, we've seen an increase in the adoption of mobile wallets in terms of them using what the telcos have to offer. So with that, I think that has helped a lot with driving the financial inclusion agenda. And it's good to mention that for Zambia, I think all key stakeholders, be it the regulators, the government, the financial institutions, they're playing an instrumental role in driving that agenda. So the adoption rate has really gone up, and even our financial inclusion rate has gone up. Because if you look at the way the current landscape is, that some challenges in terms of infrastructure in the rural areas. So banks and other stakeholders in the ecosystem, the payment systems ecosystem, have to ensure that they collaborate and ensure that they reach the underserved communities or the unserved communities as well. So there has a lot of collaboration going on in that regard, having to use shared services and having to integrate and make use of what the fintechs are offering.
Okay, great. Well, that actually leads me to my next question. So mobile money and digital wallets are crucial for bringing financial services to unbanked and unserved populations. How do you see these tools influencing financial inclusion in Zambia and East Africa?
These tools are actually very critical, because if you look at the way the setup is in terms of mobile wallets, I think every household does have a phone. So you have the penetration of the smartphones and you have the feature phones. Of course, you have more households using feature phones because of the cost associated with it, and of course the ease of use as well. So when you look at what the mobile wallets are bringing to the table in terms of how they work. They are playing a critical role because, for instance, someone can make use of USSD as opposed to maybe mobile banking because of unavailability of internet in their location. So the fact that they have a phone and there's that sensitization going on, it doesn't matter which part of the spectrum you're falling under, you'll be able to still access those financial services through the mobile money wallets. So it's a very, very critical tool that is playing an important role in driving financial inclusion.
Thank you. So what are some of the most impactful initiatives aimed at reaching unbanked and underserved populations? So, and how can these efforts be scaled across East Africa?
Okay, so for me, I think my opinion, if I use the Zambia case again, the Bank of Zambia with the industry players, we always have what we call Financial Literacy Week at given times of the year. So that is meant to sensitize the population in terms of how they can save their monies, how they can use the different platforms available, how can they make sure that the transactions are secure, and what products and services are out there for them to use and ensure that they are aligned.
Great, thank you. I think that's quite important, actually, the financial literacy. But just moving on to another area, which is probably something that you cover in your day-to-day job, driving transformation, operational efficiency, and cost reduction. Enhancing operational efficiency is critical for reducing costs and increasing accessibility to the banking services. What strategies have been most effective, in your opinion, in achieving this in Zambia and East Africa?
Okay, so operational efficiency, I think making use of automation is very critical, as that also helps in driving down costs in terms of, it's one of the key cost containment strategies. Because if you look at some of the key expenses that most institutions face, they're catapulted by increasing staff costs, for instance. So if you automate most of your areas, key processes, one, it reduces your cost, like I mentioned earlier. Two, most of the time that you spend in doing manual processes, for instance, in a bank, if you are doing an end-to-end process, which will require 4 people, and then you automate that process, you probably just need to implement, for instance, straight-through processing for transactions. That means there'll be more time for people to innovate, and those resources can be reallocated. Yeah, so that is one avenue. And then, of course, also the time in terms of turnaround time for customers enjoying those services. And then even the efficiency aspect. The customers nowadays are looking for efficiency just as much as they're also looking for affordability. So they'll go to a bank which will meet those needs, which is able to offer digital products and services. So as a chief operating officer, it's like every day you have to think of innovative ways of ensuring that processes are efficient and streamlined by using probably AI, robotic process automation, and chatbots to attend to customer queries, as the case may be. Yeah, so it's all about efficiency and reducing costs in that regard.
Okay, great. Thank you. And how are banks using digital tools such as point of sale, POS systems, and integrated digital solutions to streamline operations while improving customer access? Now, I know you mentioned automation already, but I think, is there any other kind of digital tools in reference to point of sale, POS systems that you could maybe expand on further?
Okay, so one example, I think, which I've seen an increase in our markets is where a customer can go into the retail space, say maybe one of these supermarkets, and make a payment. So they don't necessarily have to carry hard cash because there's that integration which has been done with the telcos and the banks. Because no matter how you look at it, all the key stakeholders have to work together. So for instance, if you're a telco, you cannot do the end-to-end process alone because you need a bank in which the settlement will be done into. So a customer can walk into a supermarket, use the point of sale to make a mobile payment, for instance, or they could even use their card and swipe and make that payment. So gone are those days when customers always needed to have cash to make a payment. That is not necessary anymore. And I also like to mention that for Zambia, for instance, we're trying to drive the Go Cashless campaign. And one of the things that has been done,
It's a hot topic, this,
Yes. So one of the things that has been implemented through the central bank is driving the 24/7 economy, which is basically encouraging banks, encouraging banks to ensure that we extend the operating hours for the real-time gross settlement system and the electronic funds transfer stream. So that is also coupled with the fact that come 2025, we're phasing out checks as a company, as a bank, as an industry, as a country. So that will play a key role in that regard. So we're going cashless as a country, and banks and other stakeholders play a critical role.
Okay, great. Well, I know that you'd mentioned previously transfer services. Money transfer services like MoneyGram have become vital in regional connectivity. How does these solutions facilitate financial inclusion and economic activity in Zambia across East Africa?
Okay, thank you for that, Ellise. So I'll use UBA as an example. I think we offer quite a number of remittances products. We have Western Union, we have MoneyGram, we have a UBA product called AfriCash, we have UConnect. So if you look at cross-border payments, I think they're very key, especially where Zambia is situated, and the fact that we're also trying to drive regional trade. And also, if we look at the numbers in terms of people who are in the diaspora and how much money they're required to send home. So we're basically removing those barriers to ensuring that those payments are done seamlessly, of course, without going against the expected regulatory requirements, because there are limits whether you're sending money out using the remittance platforms or you're receiving money, as the case may be. And we've also partnered with MoneyGram. I'll use an example. We have what is called ShopRite Send. So you don't necessarily have to be an account holder. You can use UBA to make those remittances and send and receive as well. So I think as UBA, we're playing a very, very critical role in cross-border payments. And that is also encouraging people to make use of their bank accounts with UBA and, of course, enjoy the UBA experience as Africa's global bank.
Yeah, fantastic. And actually, just moving on to maybe digital payments, the rise of digital payments and financial solutions. So digital wallets, again, have revolutionized financial management. How do you see their adoption evolving in Zambia and other East African markets?
Okay, so the adoption, like I mentioned, is quite high in that for the adoption actually to be high, I think what is key is even the way the products and services are designed. They have to be user friendly and they have to be secure. So, because that is very, very key, because I think of late we've seen a lot of cyber crimes. Customers are being lured into doing transactions which they did not initiate because they shared their PIN, or if they were using the card, they shared their card details. So as banks, we're playing a critical role in ensuring that there's that constant sensitization as it relates with security in digital financial services and payments.
Okay, great. Thank you. Briefly, you mentioned real-time payments and also bridging the gap with the telcos and payments. So real-time payments are essential in regions with high mobile phone penetration. How is Zambia addressing the demand for instant payment systems, and what lessons can be applied to East Africa with a focus on Kenya?
Okay, so for Zambia, I think, like I mentioned earlier, the Bank of Zambia has implemented the 24/7 economy where all stakeholders are playing a part. So, for instance, we've extended our operating hours. So a customer does not have to wait for the following day to make a payment. They have up to, say, the evening of that day to still do those payments. And the fact that we have a national financial switch where all payment services providers can integrate into, which also includes banks, that makes the process very seamless for us, and it makes it also cost effective and efficient as a country. So those are some of the things I think other countries need to look into as well. And of course, there's also that continuous engagement with regulators to ensure that all the policies that are formulated meet the consumers' needs as well as the other stakeholders that are involved in the due process.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another topic is embedded payments. So embedded payments are gaining traction globally. Do you see opportunities to integrate payment solutions into financial platforms such as e-commerce or social media to enhance accessibility across Zambia and East Africa, and even so much as maybe the rural areas?
Yes, there's a lot of potential in that, but there are a number of factors. Because first of all, I think there needs to be that understanding in terms of what the infrastructural requirements are, and also in terms from the fintech space, what do they need to do to ensure that they comply with regulation. So there has to be all those partnerships and exchange of information amongst ourselves to ensure that we meet those requirements and drive that agenda for the embedded payments, because it's not just about banks or fintechs. I think the collaboration is something that we cannot run away from, because we are dependent on each other. And at the end of the day, we're working towards a common goal, which is adoption of the digital financial services as well as financial inclusion, because we don't want a situation where the number of people in a country don't even know about what is available out there. So it's about you and I playing that role in driving that agenda. And also, like I mentioned, it's about sensitization, even at the household level. That's where I believe it should start from. And then in terms of schools as well, is it part of the curriculum, like in terms of financial inclusion concepts and also digital literacy, like we were speaking about earlier? So it's something that every person has to take and be passionate about driving.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you just mentioned financial literacy. So financial literacy is a key barrier to financial inclusion in rural areas, as you mentioned. What steps are being taken to improve financial education in Zambia? I know you mentioned that just briefly now, but how could these efforts inform similar initiatives across East Africa and the Kenyan market, for example?
Okay, so for financial literacy to work, I think seamlessly and effectively, it's about everyone being involved in the process. And if I look at Zambia, like I mentioned, we have the Financial Literacy Week, where all stakeholders, you have workshops, you have roadshows, people are being sensitized about what it's all about, why they need to save, why they should not keep money in their homes, why they should use banks or why they should use the mobile wallets, and how the end-to-end process is, the security aspect of it. So it's about collaboration, really, if you ask me. It's about collaboration and just continuous training and sensitization of the entire population.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I think this is an area that you will be interested in, is customer experience and digital transformation. Customer experience is crucial for building trust in financial services. What strategies have been implemented to enhance the banking experience, particularly for customers who are new to digital platforms?
Okay, so I think for customer experience, I think what's important is at the point at which you are onboarding a customer, you make it clear as to what is involved in, like, what the product offerings are or the service offerings are. Because if you're, for instance, going to come to me, Ellise, and tell me that, oh, Kathy, there's this app which will help you make payments from your office. You don't have to go out. I want to understand how it works. What are the security aspects as it relates? Because I'm very, very, very particular about security. And then on the efficiency space, if I initiate a payment now, how soon will it get to the other bank or destination? So you have to be clear from the onset. And for instance, you talk about second factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, as the case may be. I need to know what is it? Why do I have to use it? So it's about, first of all, from the onboarding process, there has to be that transparency to also to build trust. You tell me if you use this product, this is how much you're going to pay. I should be able to appreciate why I'll have to incur that cost for me to enjoy that service. So and then in the same vein, I think what is also important is the product or service being user friendly. So if something is very easy for me to use, I won't have a problem with using it every time I need to make a payment. So you have to ensure that it's very easy to use as well.
Okay, thank you. Another hot topic is AI. With AI becoming increasingly important in financial services, how is it being used to enhance customer engagement, improve operational efficiency, and streamline bank services?
Okay, thank you for that. So AI is something that we keep on trying to leverage on generally and as a bank. So for instance, in terms of customer engagement, we as UBA have a chatbot called Leo. So Leo the chat banker. Yeah.
Love that.
So yes.
It's
So
great.
someone
Great
can
name.
ask Leo basic information like account balance, how much is my account balance? Leo will be able to tell you that. So that already places ahead of the curve. And then other things that we're making use of is AI is very prominent in terms of data and analytics and decision making, because I think everything that we do, if we have to decide on what product or service we have to come up with, data is very key, and that data has to be clean. So AI plays a very, very critical role in that regard, because the information I'll be able to monitor, how does Ellise spend her money? What does she spend it on? Then from that, I'll be able to guide you and say, I think you've gone beyond your spend limit for this month. And that will already be like a trigger for you to say, oh, I said I'm saving for a car. So if I'm going beyond my spend limit, I should now put a cap on it and maybe do this next month or the other month, as the case may be. So in a nutshell, I think AI is something that we should make use of. Of course, it has to be, there are also a lot of ethical considerations in the use of AI, which have to be kept into consideration. So it's very important that we are well abreast of that.
Okay, cybersecurity remains a concern as financial services move online. How can banks ensure customer data privacy and security while offering innovative digital solutions across Zambia and East Africa?
Okay, thank you, Ellise. So for that one, I think cybersecurity indeed is something that we have to be very, very serious about as financial institutions. It's something that should not be taken lightly, because it's important, I think, to always sensitize our customers, stock consumers on its importance. Like, for instance, they shouldn't share their data with anyone who is not a rightful owner of that information. And they shouldn't just click on any link because someone may be phishing, or they maybe use that information for the purpose that it's not intended for. So banks play a critical, and then even as we're doing all these integrations with third parties, it's important that the due diligence is done end to end. What does this partner do? Are they, for instance, PCI DSS certified? Are they indeed legitimate? Who is the ultimate beneficial owner of that entity, for instance? Because I think also digital financial services, we have to be very, very careful in terms of financial crimes. Because if they're not properly monitored, you may find that you may be aiding some of these things. So that's where key AML comes in, and knowing your customer comes in. Knowing the vendors that you're working with is very, very critical. So I think we have a very, very big role to play in that regard.
Looking to the future, what technological innovations do you believe will shape the future of banking in Zambia and East Africa over the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, okay, thank you. So I think we're going to see a lot of collaboration amongst the different stakeholders. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of rise of agency banking, open banking. We spoke of embedded payments. You have a lot of neobanks coming up, digital-only banks. So I think we're going to see a lot of innovation in the next 5 to 10 years, and it's all related to collaboration amongst the different stakeholders. And
Okay,
of
great.
course, we should see, in my opinion, a lot of changes in policies and regulatory frameworks. Because if you look at the innovation landscape, as innovation is changing, that also speaks to the frameworks and the policies that govern those changes. So we have to remain abreast of that.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll just wrap it up with a big thank you. Thank you for joining. So that's the end of the call.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much for having me.